Imagine a flame so hot it does not just consume books, but history itself. Imagine an act of destruction so profound it seeks to erase not just paper and ink, but the very soul of a nation. Throughout history, there have been moments when the pursuit of power and the grip of fear have led to acts of cultural devastation that echo through the ages. Think back to 1258 when the Mongol hordes sacked Baghdad, throwing countless priceless manuscripts into the Tigris River, staining its waters black with ink. It was a calculated act to dismantle the intellectual heart of the Islamic world. Fast forward centuries to June 7, 1962, and we find a chillingly similar act of barbarism in Algiers by a desperate and dying gasp of colonialism. On that fateful day, just weeks before Algeria was to regain its hard-won independence, the magnificent library of the University of Algiers, one of the oldest and most important libraries in the Arab world and Africa, was set ablaze. This was no accident. This was a deliberate, premeditated act of terror perpetrated by the Organisation de l'Armée Secrète, the OAS. For those unfamiliar, the OAS was a far-right French terrorist organization vehemently opposed the Algerian independence, resorting to extreme violence in their futile attempt to maintain colonial rule. On June 7, 1962, OAS operatives planted 3 phosphorus bombs inside 3 buckets of gasoline to cause maximum damage to the manuscripts preserved in the library. The explosions caused the fire that remained active for 3 days, causing the destruction of countless manuscripts. The firefighters did not extinguish the fire directly. They used only one water hose and, worse still, they directed it toward areas not yet reached by the flames in order to destroy the untouched books. This unprofessional conduct fueled speculations that the French authorities were complicit in this barbaric act. The French didn't just burn a building, they incinerated approximately 400,000 volumes, including rare manuscripts, invaluable historical documents, scientific research, literary treasures, and centuries of accumulated knowledge. This was a crime of immense scale committed by a terrorist organization. While the direct perpetrators were the OAS, this atrocity occurred under the supervision of French colonial authorities. Let's be clear, the burning of the Algiers University Library was not merely an act of vandalism. Under international law, this was unequivocally a war crime and a crime against humanity. How so? The destruction of cultural heritage, especially on this scale, is recognized as a grave breach of international humanitarian law. The 1954 Hague Convention for the Protection of Cultural Property in the Event of Armed Conflict codified principles that were already emerging in customary international law, that cultural property is essential to the heritage of all humankind and its destruction during conflict is a serious offense. Furthermore, the systematic and widespread attack on civilian cultural institutions, particularly with the intent to undermine the identity of a population, can constitute a crime against humanity, which involves acts committed as part of a widespread or systematic attack directed against any civilian population with knowledge of the attack. The OAS actions fit this description perfectly. Their aim was not just destruction, but ideological warfare. Why commit such a horrific act? The motive was chillingly clear: to erase the memory, the history, and the very identity of the Algerian people. For 130 years, Algeria had been subjected to French colonial rule that actively suppressed Algerian culture and history. The university library was a beacon of Algerian intellect, a repository of its past and a promise of its future. By burning it, the OAS sought to deliver a devastating blow to the burgeoning independent Algerian state. They aimed to cripple its intellectual development to sever its ties to its rich heritage and to create a void where a vibrant national identity should have flourished. It was an attempt to derail the future development of the newly independent Algeria by robbing its people of their intellectual inheritance, to tell them, you have no past, you have no future. From the Mongol destruction of Baghdad to the ongoing Zionist occupation of Palestine, occupiers have always sought to undermine the identity of the occupied people to facilitate their subjugation. In theory, remembering these atrocities is the first step toward ensuring they never happen again. Yet, in reality, such crimes persist even under our so-called rules-based international order. Israeli occupation forces continue to destroy and burn hundreds of culturally or historically significant buildings, libraries, museums, and other repositories of knowledge in Gaza, while the world watches helplessly.